Chapter 1. What is the way? The way means the road, a road from this place to another place, for example a road from this village to another village, a road from north to south. The way in this meaning indicates something concrete as a thing. It can be described by many adjectives: long, short, straight, curved, cut, wide, narrow, vast, even, uneven. The way has another meaning, an abstract one, not indicating a being. The way means the way of a person, his manner of living, his existence, his way of life, his behavior, his thinking, his speaking, his acting, his dwelling. This book, which is titled The Book of the Way, talks about the way in this meaning. The way in its abstract meaning may go with virtue. Virtue is also used to indicate the human dwelling that follows the way. A virtuous man lives in harmony with the way. The way, usually capitalized, indicates the right way. Virtue also indicates the result of the way. A man who dwells in harmony with the way will leave virtue, fortune, to his children. The way also means the movement of matter, material, or of the universe. Physics studies the movement of matter. Cosmology studies the movement of the universe. We do not examine the movement of matter, material, or of the universe. We look for the way as the human dwelling among things. We have bodies. The way can be understood as the movement of the body. We are not in search of this way. Today biology studies the movement of the body. The way is also understood as the totality which embraces the entire universe. Chuang Tzu talks about the way as the totality which exists even before the heaven and the earth. It creates the divinities, God, gives birth to all things and men. Man comes from that totality and will return to it. Life and death belong to it. We do not study the way in that meaning. If the way is considered not as the totality but as the manner of our dwelling in the middle of that totality, the way we are looking for is not far from that way.
Chapter 2. Anxiety about the way. There are things. We see the table, the sky. We know abstract ideas such as a square, the number 3, justice. But what is the way? If we are asked that question, we fall into puzzlement, we hardly find the answer. A sage like Lao Tzu has to admit the mystery of the way is hardly known, the way is nothing as well as being, mysterious and more mysterious. But there is the way. Our attunement of the way is anxiety. We are always anxious about the way or our way of living, our dwelling. This anxiety occurs in many ways: concern, care, worry, sadness, joy. We are always concerned about what to do now or how to behave now, going to the movie or staying home to study. We worry for our future. We are sad for our mistakes. We are joyful for a bright future. We are anxious about the way or our dwelling. Anxiety towards the way means that there are many ways or different manners of living. We have to make a choice for a certain manner of living. In comparison to other animals, we see it seems that an animal does not have the way. An animal lives according to its species. For example, a lion looks for food when it is hungry. Any lion seems to act in the same manner. It does not have freedom. According to scientific knowledge, man is evolutionized from the chimpanzee. Over 3 million years ago, a chimpanzee stood up and walked on its 2 feet, and that was the first image of man. So we can say that at a certain point of time of his history of evolution, man, different from the other animals, attained to freedom. Human freedom speaks mainly about the freedom of the choice of the way a man should follow, not the freedom in the meaning of taking action under an obligation or coercion. When talking about freedom, we understand it in the meaning of acting by one's own will, no coercion by anyone or anything. Anxiety about the way implies that an anxious man knows there is something wrong in his daily life. He is looking for another way of living. There is a silent voice of the way inside him. People talk about God's call of a man to lead a religious life. The Buddha left a royal life to look for the way. A royal life is not the way. The Book of Change has the hexagram thunder. The way occurs like a thunder to call a man who lives far from the way to return to the way. Chapter 3. Peaceful Dwelling. We are on the journey in search of the way or dwelling. We agree with Lao Tzu that the way is a mystery. For so many years humankind is on the journey in search of the way. There have been a lot of discussions. There have been many religions to show the way, and now we are on the journey in search of the way. So what is the way or dwelling? Man pursues a peaceful dwelling. This peaceful dwelling is also called happy dwelling, joyful dwelling, easy and light dwelling. We just talked about anxiety in regards to the way. Anxiety about the way means mainly the knowledge of the way that leads to the peaceful dwelling. Pursuing a peaceful dwelling naturally lies in the human heart. The Vietnamese have this saying, peaceful dwelling, happy profession. Profession or job belongs to life. If a man has a hard and heavy job, he does not have a peaceful dwelling. A job which requires a sly ruse and mischievous lying does not bring a peaceful life. Therefore a happy job is a part of a peaceful dwelling. Man is anxious about the way, and this way is mainly the way leading to a peaceful dwelling. A peaceful dwelling is the aim of a man's life.
Chapter 4. The Ordinary Way. Man pursues a peaceful life. This is his daily persuasion. First of all, he has to satisfy the real needs of his life, eating and habitation. In early times, man made his living by hunting as other animals did, and his habitation was natural caves. He advanced step by step to plantation, raising cattle, and building dwellings. In the present society, he needs a job for his meals and a warm and pleasant house. For an ordinary man, satisfaction of his material needs is establishing a peaceful dwelling. Money is the means of the satisfaction of his material needs. Man also has spiritual needs. Man is an animal living in a community. His two eminent worries in the community are love and fame. Love and fame also belong to his peaceful dwelling. Money is tied to love and fame. Being rich is also a fame and is able to buy love and fame, social rank. With a life full of worries about money, love, and fame, man can hardly find a peaceful dwelling. Therefore anxiety of a peaceful dwelling always takes place. Talking about money, love, and fame is talking about material or profit. What characteristics does a worry of profit harbor? It seems that a worry of profit has nothing blameworthy. Everybody has the right to worry about food and a dwelling place for himself and his family. Going to school aims at a good job in the future. This worry has nothing blameworthy, on the contrary, it should be encouraged. However, there are two deficiencies in the worry about profit: doing evil things and bringing weariness and heavy burden. Evil means not in harmony with a peaceful dwelling. Worry about profit means looking for profit, the more the better. To achieve this goal, the worry about profit is attached to lying, deceiving, robbery and killing. Lying, deceiving, robbery and killing may bring more profit than honesty, righteousness, meekness. Besides bad things, the worry about profit brings weariness and heavy burden to life. Not getting enough money or getting less money than many other people get is not joyful. Exhausted working is also a heavy burden. Because of money, one may accept a heavy or dirty job. With lying, deceiving, robbery, killing, weariness and a heavy burden, a human peaceful dwelling is very limited. Life has joys and also a lot of sorrows, and sorrows are so plentiful that we have the saying life is an ocean of sorrows. The reality does not occur as we hope. But what else can we do? Chapter 5. The present world. The present way of living is a combination of the ordinary way and the way that has been built up by human civilization. What happens? Nowadays when we talk about civilization, we talk about the Occidental civilization because it reigns our entire planet. This civilization has been built up by Plato's thought and Christianity. Plato asks the question of beings. What makes a table? That is the fundamental question of the Occidental philosophy. This philosophy discovers the metaphysical that makes a thing a thing. This metaphysical appears as idea, in Plato, categories, in Aristotle and Kant, or, mind in German idealism. It is not that the philosophers do not see the material element or the physical, however it is the metaphysical itself that makes a thing a thing. For example, there is a wooden table, but wood does not make a wooden thing because wood can be a bridge, a house. It is, according to Plato, the idea table that makes a wooden table. The metaphysical is abstract. Science also asks the question of beings. The course of time gives birth to many sciences. Each science studies a certain domain of beings or of a certain amount of beings. Science brings a rich and concrete knowledge of beings. To inquire beings, mankind follows sciences and gives up philosophy. Without the knowledge of the metaphysical, I am able to see that thing as a wooden table. In regards to wood, science lets me know a lot about it. Philosophy loses its voice. People run after sciences. What is called being, the metaphysical, the abstract is only a vapor which is disappearing. The main reality is material, the physical, the concrete. Christianity is founded on a God as creator. The Creator created the universe and mankind. He is almighty, he has the ability to create anything he wants. He has a paradise which a man can attain and a hell which a man can enter after his death. When a man still lives on the earth, the Creator can grant him graces. What kind of graces? The main graces are material favors, wealth, good education, good job, success, health, no illness or cure. When a 10-year-old boy is asked what he wants from God, he says that he wants God to help him to become rich. God becomes he who satisfies secular desires of a man. What peace does God grant? Peace is peace for a life full of secular desires. The way that Western civilization outlines is in harmony with the ordinary way. This may be the reason why Western civilization becomes the planetary civilization. We have said that everybody is anxious about the way. Under the influence of the ordinary life and Western civilization, this anxiety is guided by material needs or profit. Money, love, and fame bring a peaceful and happy life. In fact, money, love, and fame bring some peace. Jesus says that the rich have their part, they find a certain peace in their wealth. Nowadays, most of us wish to become rich, and the richer the better. Philosophy loses his voice. The metaphysical, the abstract, or the non-material is disappearing. God also becomes he who satisfies the secular needs of a man. The Holy Spirit is only a vague image because he does not bring any concrete benefit. Chapter 6. Evil and desolate. If the way is the peaceful dwelling, the present world does not harbor the way. Right at the beginning of being and time, Heidegger says, the question of being, the way, has been forgotten today. The Occidental philosophy is a study of beings, and what it uses to talk about beings is abstract, metaphysical, and mankind considers this abstract unnecessary. The Occidental philosophy asks the question of beings. It takes the abstract, metaphysical, as being, the way. If being, the way, is the abstract, metaphysical, mankind rejects that way. That is the reason for the following famous saying, God, that means the metaphysical world, is dead. Philosophy is the symbol of human thinking, and now it loses its voice. For mankind there is nothing to talk about besides beings. Mankind abandons philosophy and runs after sciences and technology. 1. According to Heidegger, the essence of man lies in his relation to the way. The way is forgotten, that is, the essence of man is forgotten. The essence of man denotes humanity. 2. The essence of man is forgotten, that means man does not live as man in his way or in his peaceful dwelling. 3. But what is important if man does not live in his way? It is important, very important, extremely important that man becomes evil and desolation reigns the world. In Why Poets? 1934, Heidegger talks about desolate time. Heidegger cites Hölderlin's words, and Why Poets in a Desolate Time. For Hölderlin's historical experience, the appearance and sacrificial death of Christ means that the end to the days of divinity has set in. Evening is falling and the world's night disseminates its darkness. Why is there desolation and darkness? With the time of technology, the way has become a vapor which is disappearing. Only beings remain there. With beings only, men live by the will. Beings appear according to the human will. In the time of technology, beings are placed and planned according to the human will. When men live on the shore of beings, what happens? For an easy understanding, we distinguish two shores, the shore of beings and the shore of the way. The shore of beings is also called the shore or the near shore. The shore of the way is also called the other shore or the far shore. When men live on this shore or the shore of beings, when men do not reach the other shore or the shore of the way, they are not only not far from beasts but also below beasts. In Ponderings 2:6 Heidegger writes, being, the way, is the ether in which mankind breathes. Without this ether humans would descend to the level of mere beasts and even lower, and all human activity would be reduced to breeding like cattle. Why so? The will is the way of men when they live with beings or of men in the time of technology. According to Heidegger, the will is evil. Perhaps in general the will itself is what is evil. What is evil? Will is will more or greed. Will more means malice, deceiving, killing. Malice aims at getting more, increasing. The will is malice, therefore evil. Will more is furiousness and insurgency. Malice is furiousness and insurgency in order to gain more. Insurgency is not content with the present situation, it needs a higher level. The most prominent way of insurgency is usurpation, robbery and war. Will of having more, will of increase demands insurgency, furiousness. Malice is insurgency and furiousness for increase. One is insurgent because he is not content, furious with the present situation, because he wants to surpass the present situation. The prominent way of increase is usurpation, robbery and war. To accomplish the task, one needs weapons. Today modern weapons aim at protection as well as usurpation. War is the way of living of the present mankind. When man is on this shore, his dwelling is will and evil. Teaching the way to demons is what cannot be done. There is a survey which finds out that, after leaving church, the religious live with the same habits as the non-religious. Many monks commit innumerable sins because they don't know that becoming a monk is leaving this shore to reach the other shore. If one becomes a monk and still wants money, love, and fame, how is it that he is not evil? Evil with its malice is desolate. What does desolation mean? With desolation, Heidegger wants to say that everything, the world, humankind and the earth, becomes a desert. A desert is a deserted land, and there is no life on this deserted land. Desolation spreads everywhere. Here life indicates the way. The way is the manner of the human existence or life. In a desert, life, or the way is forgotten. Desolation is the lack or loss of life. Talking about life is talking about the peaceful dwelling. Nowadays life is an unpeaceful dwelling, and this life is indeed not life yet, in its truthful meaning. The daily life of humankind is taking place under the dominance of evil and desolation. The situation Heidegger describes evil and desolate is what Michael Jackson sings in Thriller. "'Cause this is Thriller, Thriller night. And no one's gonna save you from the beast about to strike. You know it's Thriller, Thriller night. You're fighting for your life inside a killer thriller tonight. You hear the door slam and realize there's nowhere left to run. You feel the cold hand and wonder if you'll ever see the sun. You close your eyes and hope that this is just imagination. But all the while you hear a creature creeping up behind. You're out of time. Thriller." Michael uses also the following words, "And the dead start to walk in their masquerade, this is the end of your life, and grisly ghouls from every tomb are closing in to seal your doom, it's close to midnight, darkness falls across the land, creatures crawl in search of blood. In the evil world and in the terrible night, people are not free to live in peace." Heidegger says that peace is something that does not exist in the present world. How many people die or are injured a day in this present world? Is it not a thriller night? Founded on Platonic philosophy, then on sciences and Christianity, Western civilization knows the material shore only. And living with the material shore, life is menacing and evil. Speaking in line with Heidegger, the holy, or goodness has disappeared from the surface of this earth. As we will say, the Buddha, Confucius, Lao Tzu and Jesus Christ taught the way to the cessation of suffering, the way to a peaceful dwelling, the way to a serene dwelling, and the way to an easy and light life. But the result is a horrible world that Martin Heidegger and Michael Jackson describe. That is the reason why we now are on the journey to a peaceful dwelling. The sage's thoughts will help us. Chapter 7. Where to find the peaceful dwelling. The ordinary way does not lead to the peaceful dwelling. The present way does not lead to the peaceful dwelling, either. Is there the way that leads to the peaceful dwelling? Where can we find the way that leads to the peaceful dwelling? Where is the way? We find it neither inside nor outside us. It is said that the way is the manner of living. If the way is the manner of living, the way is such as what we live. This seems to be correct. This is idealism. Everything is from mind. If we advance further to absolute idealism, we think that even the outside world is from our mind. We think such, the outside world is such. This is easy to deny. We know that the world is there even if there is not our mind or there is no mankind. Idealism can argue that the world that our mind sees is from our mind. The world that our mind does not see is not the world that our mind sees. However, mind only is not enough. Something outside mind is necessary so that mind can see the world mind sees. Let's set aside the question the world is from our mind or not. The way as manner of living depends on man. The way is such as we live. Who can deny this fact? But what kind of way do we look for? We look for a peaceful dwelling. So the way we look for is not any kind of way. The way we look for is the way leading to a peaceful dwelling. The question is, how can we attain a peaceful dwelling? The way is not the movement of the universe or the movement of material. The way is not the movement of the universe or the movement of material is the way sciences look for. The way of our search is different from the way sciences look for. We do not deny the way of scientific search. Sciences bring a vast knowledge of the universe and material. Our domain and scientific domain are different. Scientific knowledge can help us on our journey. The way is not the way God declared or revealed. We do not look for the way leading to paradise or nirvana after our death. The way we look for is different from the religious way. However, if besides seeking the way leading to paradise or nirvana after death, religions also discuss a peaceful dwelling in the present life, then the way we look for is not different from the religious way. A dialogue between religions and us is needful. Christianity has the saying, "Peace on earth for people of good will." The Buddha says, "I teach only happiness and happiness in this life." If we understand Confucianism and Taoism as religions, we can receive many religious teachings about a peaceful dwelling. The way is the manner of living or dwelling. And we look for the peaceful dwelling. Where is there this way? Everybody pursues a peaceful dwelling. Money, love, and fame bring a certain peace. Although there is evil and desolation, a lot of people find some peace amid evil and desolation. For a lot of people, there is no other peace than that peace. And it seems that human civilization is leading to this concept. It seems that present mankind accepts this situation. So this question arises, is there another peace so that we can look for it? We are anxious about the peaceful dwelling. This means that in a certain manner we receive or have the attunement to the idea about peace. Does that idea arise within us? We do not find a signal or a wink about peace within us. If we dissect our body or our brain, we do not find a signal or a wink about peace. If we dissect our mind, what happens? We have an idea of peace, but when we conduct a search in our mind, we do not find a signal or a wink about peace. Therefore, whence do we find the idea of peace? If it is not from within us, it must be from outside us. But at what place in the outside? Outside us is a boundless universe. Nowadays we talk about multiple universes. But the way is the way by which we live daily. This way happens in the framework or environment in which we live. It is from or depending on this environment that we find and have the image of peace. This environment can be named nature. What is nature? Nature is composed of all things in the sky, heaven, and on the earth, and among all things there are the heaven, the earth, and also us. The framework or environment of the heaven above and the earth below is the vastest one of our life. Let us explore if this environment gives us the idea of peace.